Get creative about saving money. In that piece, they outlined some tried and true practices, including pitting your insurance companies against one another. Insurance is a con. It always has been a con, but you need insurance.
Until you need it, yeah. I mean,
until you need it. Until you need it. Hey everyone, I'm Mike.
And I'm Andrew.
And we're the Midlife Guys. So I'm going to jump right into today's discussion, which is going to be focused on financial well-being for midlifers. In fact, today will be the first in a series of 4 episodes dedicated to the topic of financial well-being. Unfortunately, right now, tens of millions of midlifers across the world are under financial stress. Rising gas prices, continued inflation. All of these things are driving up costs of everyday goods needed to live, including food, clothes, and utilities. This is coupled with the uncertainty in the job market due to disruptions from AI and a changing employment landscape. In fact, the Bank of America Institute put out a white paper in late 2025 with some very troubling statistics for Millennials and Gen X. These 2 generations have seen the largest increase in financial stress since 2023, more than any other generations. Unfortunately, now 1 in 4 Millennials and Gen X households are now living paycheck to paycheck. That data is confirmed by the U.S. Federal Reserve, which is begging more people, especially more Americans, to save money in case of an emergency event in their life. What is even more troubling is that this is not isolated to the United States. Millennials and Gen Xers in Canada, Mexico, France, the United Kingdom, Spain, Brazil, the list goes on, are also seeing dramatic rate increases in the number of households living paycheck to paycheck. This is not a good situation, and one that I fear will have a lasting impact on our fellow midlifers for years to come. However, there is a bright spot, tiny little bright spot.
We need one. Jeez.
Yeah, we do need it. We do need a fucking bright spot here.
Yeah.
According to the survey from the Nationwide Retirement Institute, the Great Recession of 2008 prepared Millennials and Gen Xers for future recessions. That devastating downturn essentially reprogrammed our brains to think about ways in which we can save money so that we never have to experience that hardship ever again. That's what I want to talk about today. Over the past 6 months, as talks of a possible recession have started, Millennials and Gen Xers have been sharing their lessons about how they're preparing for possible recessions and the lessons they learned in 2008. Andrew, are you ready to talk about this?
I am. I'm just curious though, when your phone went off there, was it telling you the recession had started? Is that it's
God,
here
I hope
now?
not.
I'm kidding.
No, I'm actually going, I just could not believe that. Mm-hmm.
No, this is an important topic though.
Stupid as text too.
Oh, is it? Well, then it's not definitely worth it. Yeah. No, I think this is an important topic. Definitely something worth talking about. We've touched on this a little bit in the past and how, like, our generation's been hit over and over and over again with financial stresses and sort of storms. And so I think it's good to talk about how we can try to weather the next one that's coming, or maybe it's already here and we just don't quite know it yet. But yeah, let's jump in.
Absolutely. All right. So the first tip should not come as any surprise. It's saving for a rainy day. I like to say you don't miss money that you don't have. This is a good rule of thumb that many people often forget. If you're a midlifer that is fortunate to work for a company that provides retirement benefits, then you're very well aware of this concept, because every month you should have money deducted from your paycheck that goes into your retirement account and that's matched by your employer to IRA or 401k. You never see that money. That money is never in your bank account. You never see it. So easy just not to even miss it. The same should be true with a rainy day fund. Each month, you should direct your employer to set aside some money from each paycheck that is deposited into a savings account. How much? Well, we can't answer that and we shouldn't answer that. That is completely dependent on your unique situation. But the general recommendation is about $100 per paycheck. The goal is to build up enough cash in your rainy day fund to cover all of your expenses for at least 6 months. And that's according to NerdWallet. Now, I know that this is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of midlifers because they are living paycheck to paycheck. But the benefits for creating a rainy day fund are tremendous because you never know when something's going to happen. Lord have mercy, we know that as midlifers, anything can happen. And if it can happen, it will happen to us.
Oh, it's happening. Yes, it's going to happen.
It will happen to us. All right. So the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has put together a great list of tips to create your savings plan. I suggest everyone go visit that website to download the tips because CFPB might not be here much longer.
I was going to say that if they're still around, but that's
if
another
they're even
topic.
here. Just the internet's forever though. So first, you need to set your goal. If it's $1,000 in 10 months, that's perfect. Then you need to put aside $25 per week. Second, create a system for creating your contributions automatically, through automatic withdrawals, just remembering to transfer them to the savings account, whatever works for you. Third, monitor your progress. Make sure you check your account monthly, just to make sure you're staying on track. And finally, celebrate your success when you reach your goal. Find one way to treat yourself, not spending money. One way to treat yourself, just to celebrate your success, and keep saving. So, Andrew, what are your thoughts about the emergency savings or rainy day funds?
I mean, yeah, I think those are all good pieces of advice, and generally having a rainy day fund or emergency fund, I think is really important. It's like that saying that the best time to have started this was yesterday, and the second best time is today. So really, just a matter of getting started. Because I mean, the one thing that's nice about these type of funds too, if you put them aside and don't touch it, that being the key thing, right? You just leave it there, is that it'll build up over time and it compounds over time. So it'll keep growing and growing and growing. So it's like the sooner you can get started, I think the better. I've always been a saver my whole life. So I guess thanks, mom and dad, for encouraging that. But I also have lots of friends, maybe Mike be included in that group, who sometimes claim that I'm cheap. I would say I'm more frugal. I like to save money and make sure that I am living well within our means. And it's that point that you said earlier, Mike, it's because things do pop up unexpectedly. And especially now with kids, it's like someone's going to get hurt. There's going to be a car issue that's unexpected. You know, something's going to break in the house that's going to require, an unexpected bill to fix it. So having some money set aside to cover that stuff really, I think, helps me feel less stressed and to know that that money is there and that we can cover it and then kind of replenish and keep saving for the future. So I think that's a really important thing to have. I love those tips that you shared from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I'll say for me, what's I found that's been really helpful when it comes to rainy day funds is having a budget and keeping track of that budget on a monthly basis. This sounds kind of dorky, but like every month, I'll look at our budget and I'll go through like all of our credit card receipts, like one by one, and look at all the bills that come in the door just to make sure that everything's right and we are kind of staying where we need to stay within in spending. And that stuff makes a difference, and it really does add up over time. If you can put a little bit away each month, it'll add up quickly. So I think that's a great idea.
Absolutely. I think having a rainy day fund is one of the best ways um, to really provide yourself, all of our fellow midlifers, with some sense of stability, to
Yep.
avoid financial stress. I just hit another $10,000 increment of my
Ooh,
savings
look at
account
you.
today. I was like,
All right.
yeah, man,
That's
damn,
good. No, that's awesome.
build
Yeah.
it up. Now that keep
Mhm.
going. Um, life does come at you fast, and if you have some money set aside, that is a tremendous weight off your shoulders.
Yeah.
Um, as we've discussed in previous episodes, money is one of the biggest drivers of stress for midlifers, and having that knowledge that you have money set aside is incredible relief. I want to add a few tips on top of what the CFPB laid out, because I think it's good, but everyone's in different situations, and I will say what
Yeah.
I'd like to share what works for me. So first, once you hit that $1,000 target, open up a high yield savings account or money market
Yes.
account.
Mhm.
I can't believe the CFPB didn't even mention that, but they didn't. That is, you're going to be earning interest, and just interest compounding on interest
Yeah.
is a great way to add to your savings without doing anything.
One quick thing on that front, though, if I can add to that, just make sure when you're looking up online, because a lot of people do online research now, that the high interest savings account is an FDIC backed bank. Because I've seen some scams out there where there are accounts that say they're high interest, they'll give you lots of money back. Just make sure it's a legit bank that's insured so you don't lose your money. But yeah, I think the high interest savings account is a great approach.
Great point. Thank you. Um, I also recommend you creating one of these accounts outside of your primary financial institution. Um, that way, it's just less easier to dip into those funds.
Hmm.
You check the monthly statements, you make sure that the money's adding up and everything, but just don't sit there and do it in your primary bank. 9 times out of 10, your primary bank's not going to give you as good a deal on a high interest rate account anyway. So, um, also shoot for the moon. I think that's really important. Yet again, I know so many midlifers are living paycheck to paycheck. So if you can only put $25 away, you know, every week or every other week, that's fine. But once you hit your first goal, let's say it is that $1,000 that the CFPB said, then your next goal should be $10,000. Just shoot for the moon. You've got this. You can do it. Keep growing it. Go big. So,
Yeah,
my advice.
it's good advice too. Yeah.
The next tip, which is a really good one, is to get creative on ways to save money. Time magazine actually did a whole piece about this back in 2023 on ways midlifers can get creative about saving money. In that piece, they outlined some tried and true practices, including pitting your insurance companies against one another. Insurance is a con. It always has been a con, but you need
Until you
insurance.
need it. Yeah. I mean,
Until
it's
you need it. Until you need it. It's a major expense for people. Don't settle, especially auto insurance. Don't settle for, an auto insurance quote just because you only had time to get one quote. Pit them against each other. There's plenty of ways that you can get much better rates, sometimes a lot better coverage. Make insurance companies big for your business. Big. Pit banks against one another. Banks need your deposits. So if Bank A is willing to give you a better interest rate on a money market account or savings account, ask your bank if they can do the same. If they can't, fuck them. Go someplace else. It doesn't cost you a thing to liquidate your funds and go to a different bank.
and tell them that when you're leaving and walking out the door.
Fuck them. Yes. There are tons of banks out there. Also, negotiate everything. One of the biggest things that happens to all of us is that we let fear take over. The fact is that businesses, even huge Fortune 500 companies, feel recessions the exact same way as the individual feels recessions.
Yep.
They are fearful as well. And they're going to do whatever it takes to keep you as a client, as a customer, whatever. Negotiate everything with them. You got to be proactive. As midlifers, we don't feel like we're in control of our financial situation due to external pressures a lot of the time, but we need to recognize that we actually are in control. We have more control than we actually think. And it is clear a lot of midlifers realized this in 2008. They've implemented the correct strategies to make companies, businesses, whoever they're giving their money to work in their favor. However, I have a lot of friends that didn't learn the fucking lessons and are now struggling. So, You got to learn these lessons. Andrew, what are your thoughts on this?
Eat your vegetables, learn those lessons.
Yes, God
I
damn it.
I think on the negotiation part, I think that is a good point. Is trying to pit companies against each other, or at the very least, which I think a lot of us do, and I'm sometimes guilty of this as well. Is even if you don't want to do that, just take some time to shop around. It's easy to find better deals than what you currently have or are getting. I mean, we would just set yourself like a half an hour timer to see what better quotes you can get for things that you already have. I mean, that alone will probably save you some money there. And it's easy for us to get stuck and just keep doing what we're doing because it's convenient and it's easy. But breaking away from that, I think can be really, really helpful. The other thing that you mentioned, Mike, that I think is important to emphasize is the idea of control and realizing that there are things that we can control. And I feel like, a lot of that comes down to we can't control, the macroeconomic forces that are happening in the economy or what world leaders do or do or don't say, but we can control things that happen in our everyday life and how we behave. So that's how I try to think about it is like, how might my behaviors shift if the economy starts to, enter recession or take a downturn? Like, how can I adjust? And I'm seeing some of that already, actually. Like, a great example that some other folks may be experiencing too are gas prices, which are, going up a ton. And so I'm thinking, and I did this back in 2008 as well, but like thinking about, how much do I need to drive? Where do I have to go? Like, there's some places you have to do. Kids got to get to school, right? But, can I stack like errands together and do a couple things at once instead of running out every time I think of something that I need? Or I'm fortunate enough to live in a pretty walkable area. Like, I can suck it up and it's better for me anyway to walk 10 or 15 minutes to go grab something than to take a 2 or 3 minute car ride. So just stuff like that, I think, is an important way to think about how we have control. So I feel like driving's a big one, especially with gas prices going up. Another one that, my wife and I talked about a little bit is travel is another big thing, is given all the stuff that's going on in the Middle East, like the prices for anything related to travel have started to skyrocket. And so we have 2 trips this year that have already been planned and paid for, and we're excited to do those. But, I don't know how much big travel we're going to do after that. If prices keep going up, then you know what, we can find something else to do. But I think those are the type of things that we have some control over and can make me feel a little bit better about how do I sort of navigate when things get tighter and not just be despaired the whole time.
What a downer, Andrew. We just finished a series on travel, too.
I know, no, travel's great. So we have 2 trips we're definitely doing. And there's other types of travel. We can go places that are closer by. I just mean, like, plane tickets, for example, are getting insanely expensive. So I don't think we're going to be flying if we don't have to, which we don't really have to. So trying to find ways to save money. That's what we're focused on now, is saving money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love it. I have so much to say here because I definitely learned a lot of huge lessons from 2008, which I still carry with me to this day. Like you, gas prices, fucking outrageous. I mean, luckily, our state where we live is not as outrageous as some states.
Yeah.
I saw like gas in Florida was just, no, thank you. But in 2008, I started taking the bus everywhere. And I know a lot of people, depending on where they live, don't have that as an option. I've always tried to live very close to a bus line. And so not paying for parking and not paying for gas back in 2007, 2008 saved a huge amount of money. And I got my employer at the time to match whatever the contribution I was making to my monthly fare for the bus. So that was another win for me.
There you go. Negotiation right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I also learned to get really good at negotiating with businesses, from for the cable company to my landlord at the time. I told them exactly what they needed to do in order to keep me as a tenant or customer. They did it. I was very direct. That's a strategy I use today. So, don't spend money you don't have to. I'll give you a real life example, Andrew, that you're very familiar with. Headlight went out of my car. It's one of those fancy jewel lights that should never have gone out. But to replace it, the the headlight and the labor was $2,300. Fuck you. I'm not paying that. I went to the insurance company. I went to my insurance company. I said, you are paying this bill. God, they hemmed and hawed. I said, no, you're paying this bill. This is your problem. They did. I'm not paying that. $2,300 is a lot of money. So, you know, I don't like being taken advantage of. If I'm paying for something, you better do what you say you're going to do. Or if you're an insurance company, you better know that you're going to pay me back.
But I think you bring up a good point. Sometimes just asking or saying something or pushing back a little bit in a hopefully polite and respectful way. Yeah, that maybe not so much with Mike, but no, but I think just that act of, you know, asking the question or pushing back a little bit can make a big difference. And a lot of people are kind of nervous or afraid or worried to take that step. But, you know, the worst thing they can do is keep saying no, right? And you keep asking until you get your way.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. But I'm curious to hear what our listeners think. Have you been creative when it comes to saving money? What are you doing? Are you pushing back? Are you negotiating? Leave your comments. All right.
There's so many tips you have too. I'd love to hear tips from people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's wrap this up by talking about one of the other tips that midlifers are doing to protect their financial well-being. And I don't know what else to call this, but essentially like depression era buying habits, which is essentially kind of what it is.
It's like the Dust Bowl is coming back or something up in here.
I mean, we had our grandparents. Those of us in the midlife generation had the grandparents that had the canned goods that they had forever. So we know what's up. The University of Chicago Booth School of Business did an extensive study on grocery buying habits during the Great Recession of 2008. It found that Millennials and Gen X figured out ways to really stretch that dollar a lot longer if they went to discount grocery stores, bought more store brand items, reduced their shopping habits to focus on essential nutrition. While this trend did break down in mid-2010 and shopping habits returned to normal, it appears that midlifers learned their lesson because it's coming back. All of those trends from 2008 are returning. A recent study from Lending Trees shows that 88% of midlifers have altered their grocery buying habits in light of rising costs. What are they doing? 44% are only buying generic brands. 38% are only buying just exactly what they need. 26% are couponing. 24% started going to an entirely new store to buy their groceries. There was a recent TikTok video that gained a lot of attention about this subject. In the video, the woman discussed buying more canned or frozen goods that included meats. That's a bridge too far for me.
Yeah, I'm like,
fruits and vegetables.
Take those.
Yeah, that works. Those have longer shelf life. It can often be used to feed a family of 4. They're staying away from prepared meals and just making things from scratch. That'll save you a ton of money right there. Midlifers are clearly, altering their grocery habits. They're ready to tackle the challenges from any financial uncertainty that we have as we look forward. But they need groceries. Gotta eat. Gotta feed your family. So, Andrew, have you altered your grocery buying habits?
We have a little bit, actually. So I definitely feel like I fit into some of those categories for sure. And it's funny you bring this up. I was actually reading a recap of the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond president gave a speech last week about this. And I am such an interesting person that I go read speeches from Fed presidents. But I was reading a news story about his speech. I went back and read it because I thought it was kind of interesting. And he was talking about how consumer trends are changing as we have kind of additional economic pressure on consumers. And two of the things he highlighted were shopping in discount grocery stores is going up significantly, as is people buying what they call off-label, which are generic or kind of not brand name food and products at grocery stores. And I found it interesting because I'm doing more of that. In fact, this past weekend, I was at a Lidl store, which is like a discount German grocery store that's in our area. Man, that place was more packed than I've seen it in a long time. And I think it's because a lot of people were there, again, looking for some better deals when it comes to groceries and other things that are really expensive. Something else you had mentioned, Mike, that I'm definitely a big believer of and have become kind of more focused on. I know my wife does the same thing, is coupons and sales. So now I'll almost just buy things that are either on sale or have a coupon for them. And what's amazing is, when you look at the receipt and you get it, we're saving 20 to 40 bucks per trip to the grocery store sometimes if you can really shop coupons and sales. Like, again, that's money that adds up over time. Um, the perfect example of this, which I don't know, people with kids may be able to relate to it, is Doritos, which my kids love Doritos. The chips, it's absurd that like a normal size bag of those are like $6 to $8 when they're not on sale, which my wife and I refuse to pay that amount of money for a bag of chips. But our local grocery store had a buy two, get two free sale. So, we went up in there and bought like 8 bags of Doritos because they don't go bad and we could just hang on to them and then use them over time. But like it's cost a lot less than it would have otherwise. So yeah, doing that type of stuff for sure is something that we started to focus more on. And the other thing you mentioned about at the end was about sort of cooking for yourself and making meals rather than doing prepared food. And I saw this fascinating statistic a couple weeks ago that the average middle-class household in the US eats out 5 times a week, which is qualifies like going to a restaurant or ordering like takeout or getting DoorDash or whatever. But 5 times a week seems like a lot to me. And what
that adds up.
It does. I mean, that's what I was going to say is we have a family of 4, my wife, me, our 2 kids. We can't go to like even a basic restaurant for less than $100. And that's, you're not having alcohol or anything either. So it adds up a lot. So that's something we've definitely been more cognizant about, is eating out less and making just more food at home, which sometimes takes a little bit of extra planning and effort, but those savings add up really quickly. So yeah, I mean, we're starting to make some changes. How about you, Mike? Are you changing anything as the economy kind of gets a bit tougher?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have that much to add here because, as we discussed in a previous episode, my grocery buying habits are strange because I purchase pretty much the same thing almost every trip.
Yeah,
It's a lot of blackberries. So I'm not sure I have much more to add. I do go to Lidl a lot more because they do have better prices. I am taking advantage of coupons more. I really learned how to take advantage of coupons in the Great Recession. I mean, I remember one trip, I had $100 worth of food. I paid $25 for it. Man, I couponed like crazy.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I purchased $50 worth of food and I paid $10. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Coupons are huge. Yep. Mm-hmm.
They can be. They can be.
You're getting older when couponing becomes a thing that you're doing.
Should always be that thing. Should have always been a thing.
I guess that's true.
It's so much easier too now that's all digital coupons.
Yeah, you're not cutting them out of the paper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God, do you remember those circulars that used to come in the newspaper? The youngins won't know this, but yeah, it's definitely a millennial Gen X thing. You'd sit there and have to cut up the little things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Look, food is a necessity.
Yeah.
You got to nourish yourself. You got to nourish yourself well, especially with uncertain financial situation. You got to stick to good nourishment, but you don't have to waste your fucking money just because, the Kroger wants to add a notch to their profitability. Go find alternatives. So
it's true. And I think, if nothing else, to your earlier point, the silver lining in some of this could be helping to reset all of us to think about, think more intentionally about where we're spending our money and how we're spending our money so that, we can keep more of it to have as a rainy day fund or keep some of it to kind of do other stuff that we want to do with it.
Exactly. All right. So with that, we have already blown through 30 minutes. If you've not done so already, please like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps us a lot. Remember that you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartMedia, and all your favorite podcasting platforms. And until next week, good luck, guys.
See ya.